The great judgment is upon us. The great division is crystal clear. To the awake, welcome, light warrior. To the woke, welcome to your recruitment into your initiation. To the completely asleep, great. Greenhorns aren't MK'd. It'll be easier for you to receive insight and wisdom. This channel is created through peace, love, forgiveness, and compassion. To the trolls, you're also welcome. It'll be an uncomfortable experience, unless you're trolling with the intention to learn something. For the light will always illuminate the dark. Cheers to hoping you'll realize you've been rooting for the wrong team. The great shift is upon us. We're not the same people we once were. The tolerable has become intolerable. The silenced are seeking their truth and finding their voices. Picking and choosing daily battles are no longer choices, but a means to survival. The initiation is about reclaiming the power of our voices, realizing some situations no longer deserve our time, energy, and focus. My name is Sarah, and I will be your host. First and foremost, I'll apologize for this is my allergy season, and so I'm really sounding kind of nasally and whatnot, so I do apologize. It will not last forever. So today, we are covering... we're going to cover Cats in the Cradle by Cat Stevens. So typically, if you hear someone today use the expression cats in the cradle, they're likely describing a relationship in which one person doesn't make enough time for the other, whether that's a romantic relationship, friendship, or parental relationship. So the phrase cats in the cradle is a line from a popular song that people sometimes quote to reference the song itself, or the theme of fatherhood, or the theme of not having enough time to spend on a relationship. I know that Cats in the Cradle was written by his wife, Harry's wife, right? Here it is. The song is based on a poem that Harry's wife, Sandy, wrote. She said, Cats in the Cradle was a combination of a couple things. Whenever I was on a long drive, I would listen to country music because words would keep me awake more than just music. And I heard a song. I can remember the story, but I don't remember who sang it or what the title was. But an old couple were sitting at their breakfast table and looking out the window, and they saw the rusted swing and sandbox. And they were reminiscing about the good old days when all the children were around, and then the grandchildren, and how it passed, and now it's all gone. The other part of the idea, this is always a problem, because Harry introduced the song at all of his concerts and said, this is a song my wife wrote to zap me because I wasn't home with our son Josh when our son Josh was born. I was always kind of amused by that because of the fact that we learn life lessons too late. We don't learn lessons before the fact. We don't have a child born and then have all of this wisdom. So I always thought it was interesting the way he told the story. But I learned the story because my first husband was going to New York to be a lawyer, and I had a teaching job in New York. While we were apartment hunting, we were living with his parents in Brooklyn. His father was the borough president of Brooklyn at the time, which I think was a much more important job than it is today. But every day, when he got home from work, he would start talking to his son about, it would be great if you'd go down to the club on Tuesday night. I'd like to introduce you to some of the people I know, and so forth. And he started trying to engineer a career for him, which led to politics. They did not have any relationship or communication because they had been so busy until his son went off to college and was gone. I don't remember exactly how, but he started talking to me. My father-in-law would say to me, even though we're all in the same room, tell Jimmy I would like to see him down at the clubhouse on Tuesday. It was really very strange. So this is the way the evening went. The conversation was going through me. So I realized what had happened. Relationships and characters and personalities and all those things are formed by two. So I realized that hadn't happened. And it was very jerky at that stage. So I observed something that gave me the idea for the song. This heartbreaking song tells of a father and son who can't schedule time to be with each other. and it serves as a warning against putting one's career before family. The verses start out with a natural harmony and depict the tale of a father with his newborn son. Although his dad gets the necessities of child rearing accomplished, he doesn't allow himself to put in quality time with his son because of his career. Initially, this seems like no big deal because of his hectic and oblivious life working and paying bills. The recurring verse has the son saying, "I'm going to be like you, Dad. I'm going to be like you." Over time, both father and son grow into a switching of life roles. The father realizes his son's ambitions of college grades and driving and wants to spend more time with him, yet slowly grasps the reality that now his son has no time for such things. In the last verse, Chapin illustrates that the son is all grown up with a fast-paced job and kids of his own. In a glaring twist of roles, we see that the son now has no time to spend with his father. With a heavy heart, Dad realizes that his boy has become just like him. It took the birth of his son for Harry Chapin to decide to turn the poem his wife wrote into a song. Sandy Chapin explained in her Song Facts interview, "Harry and I would exchange writing of all kinds. We were always working on each other's writing. Some of my writing at a certain period were 20-page papers for a doctoral program at Columbia. So it wasn't always that poetic, but we both looked at each other's stuff. And then, one time, he came home and he said, 'What have you been doing?' I showed him Cats in the Cradle. And he said, 'Wow, that's interesting.' Sometimes he'd pick up something and put music to it. And that didn't really grab him at all. And then, after Josh was born, it did. He picked up and he wrote music to it." Sandy Chapin runs the Harry Chapin Foundation, which does what it can to continue supporting the causes Harry championed when he was alive. While Sandy does a lot of work for the foundation, her focus is her family and her role as an on-call grandmother for 6 grandchildren. As can be expected of the woman who wrote Cats in the Cradle, she values the time she can spend with them while they are still young. In a 2009 interview, she said, "The eldest of the 6 has just gone into a 6th grade, which means not only does she live in a community where the kids grow up fast, but now she's in a middle school where everyone thinks they're teenagers and ought to be in high school. So you have to grab those years. It used to be when I would drive up to the house, she would jump out and run and greet me and say, 'Grandma, what's the project for today?' Because I would always bring some arts and crafts. We make Thanksgiving place cards or Christmas tree ornaments. But all through the year, I was always doing projects with them. So now she's answering her email. She's on her cell phone and doing dates, walking around town with her friends, being a grown-up, and doing all of the after-school activities. You have to grab that chance while you have it." Sorry. The message about procrastination and missed opportunities makes this song an excellent parable for use in church sermons, where it remains very popular. Harry Chapin included various symbols of childhood in the lyrics as reminders of how quickly it ends. Cats in the Cradle is a game played with string, silver spoons, are ornamental spoons for babies, and Little Boy Blue is a nursery rhyme. Man in the Moon could be about the human features children see when they look at the moon. The song was used for commercials in Northern Ireland about the troubles at the time. In the spot, a father is involved in one of the political groups, and he isn't much of an example for his son. Flashback, father will gun running into house, terrorizing family of opposite religion, etc. Because of this, the kid ends up following in his footsteps. It tried to send the message that following a bad example can become a vicious cycle, and unless we change, the troubles will never go away and our children will suffer. There have been many cover versions of this song, but the only one to chart is by Ugly Kid Joe. I don't know if you guys remember Ugly Kid Joe. It was a punkish rock band known for the novelty hit Everything About You, which was released as a single in 1992. The album was America's Least Wanted, and the rendition went to number 6 US and number 7 in the UK. It says the only UK chart entry for the song since Chapman's original didn't make the tally. In the remake, Ugly Kid Joe changed the lyric Man in the Moon to Man on the Moon, apparently thinking the song was referring to Neil Armstrong's 1969 lunar landing. Another tweak, their version is titled Cats in the Cradle, without the apostrophe. This indicates that there is more than one cat in the cradle, but it's unlikely the band was concerned with the vagaries of grammar. Okay. What else? All right, so that is... So I had some questions here, right? What is the theme of Cats in the Cradle? Well, regret is the theme. I think the theme is what makes this song so relatable. Every parent fears that they have done a bad job with their children. This song hits close to home for them. It says, who was Cats in the Cradle written about? One of the singer-songwriter's biggest hits began with his wife, Sandra Chapman, wrote Cats in the Cradle as a poem. Harry liked it so much he turned it into a song, saying it reminded of him and his relationship with his son, Josh. The 1974 song chronicles a son whose dad doesn't have time for him. So that's that. It says, why is the cat in the cradle with a silver spoon? That's a part of the lyrics. This seems to be a correct answer. The little boy blue and the man in the moon are references to nursery rhymes. Silver spoon may refer to the gift that was customarily to make the baby at the christening or birthday. Still today, silver spoon is a metaphor for wealthy. What does Cat's Cradle satire? Van Gogh uses Cat's Cradle to satire the idea society holds about progress and how it is achieved through the pursuit of truth, the pursuit of knowledge gained through science and experimentation. Society seems to believe that it can be better. It can better itself through obtaining empirical scientific data about the world around us. What else? What else can I tell you about? What else can I tell you about Cats in the Cradle? Okay, well, let's go online and see if we can find some comments, right? Because that's always fun. Hold up. Here. We should be able to hear. Okay. Let's see. Well, that's not really. We're gonna pause you. I'm gonna find some good. Hold on. What's that? I'm gonna find some good comments, but I gotta dive a little bit. Hold on. I'll get right back to you. Okay, I found some comments here. This one's by Cecilia A. Bowman, and it says she works at Self Improvement, and her answer was from 2 years ago. The Cats in the Cradle is a reference to repeatedly broken commitments and can also mean impending danger. There was a case in England in the 1700s, I believe, when the death of a baby was claimed to have been the cat bessing in the cradle and sucked the air out of the baby. The first reference about broken commitments was the theme of a song by Harry Chapman in the 70s. Actually, I've heard that about cats before. I remember when my son was a baby, I was really worried because I've heard that cats will sit on babies' faces in their cradle. So interesting she brought that up because it scared me with my son. Here's another one. As I understand, it's about a son whose father never had time to be with him and explain things about life and teach him the ways of life. Now he's a father who does not have the time to be with his son. What else does it say? Summer Rose, she has her bachelor in social science, University of British Columbia. This was answered a year ago. The cats in the cradle term was used by Harry Chapin in his song of the same name in 1974. It's about his life being too busy to have time for his son. His neglect of his son happened all throughout his life growing up. Then, when he did have time for his son, he had already moved out of the house, and then his son didn't have time for his dad. So it's a sad true story, because when his son became a dad himself, he spent all his time with his own kids and didn't have time for his father anymore. So the roles were reversed. True story. I really like reading comments where people like have good grammar, because I don't pre-record these. So when I'm reading them, sometimes I'm like, what is this person trying to say? So I appreciate that comment because it's well written. Okay, this is from Jim Hastings. He's a former tutor, conversational Japanese. This was 2 years ago. He had said, "It's a song, The Cat's in the Cradle. People sometimes weave string between two hands to create an image of a baby's cradle. The emphasis of the song is to have a good relationship between a father and son. Initially, it is a father's responsibility, and as the son grows up, at some point, he may take over caring for an aging or sick father, especially if his mother dies first." Yeah, well, perspective's perspective, but I think this song's pretty cut and dry about, how fast our children grow up, and we kind of get lost in the matrix once again. Modern day slaves, right? We get, it's kind of hard to not get lost in the matrix, because you got to put food on the table, you have bills to pay. I remember a time when there was no such thing as internet. Now you have to pay that internet bill $100 a month, depending on what plan you have. So there's all these added like spend like what used to be wants. It's like society is pushing into needs, and a lot of this stuff we really don't need. So, I kind of went with that. Like I went through that with my son. I became a single mom. I didn't trust anybody with him. I brought him to work with me. I 24/7 I was working, but my son worked his butt off to be on the honor roll. He has a stack. He just threw him out. He's 19. He's like, I don't need these anymore. But he had a stack of honor roll certificates. And you want to know what? I made it to one of those ceremonies because of what? I was working. And I remember the one day, because I was running kitchens, like I stunk like food. I didn't even care. I remember working my butt off. I'm like, I need to get out of here. I got to make it to this presentation. And I worked my butt off. I got ahead. I looked at the assistant. I'm like, hey, I got to go. Do you got a grip on this? Yeah. I got a grip on this. And so in my dirty chef outfit, I had to drive to the next town over. And as soon as I ran into that gym, like there was a kid getting his award, and then Jake went up and he saw me. And instantly it was like he was happy because, his dad would never go, right? But I made it once. So, after that, when the hustle and bustle slowed down and we got ahead and I got comfortable in my routine, and he got a little bit older where he was more, self-sufficient. It's when I realized I'm losing time, because before I knew it, he was a newborn, and then he was 2, and then he was 5. Sorry about my phone. And then he was 10, and then his voice is crackling, and it's like my baby's gone. And then you realize my toddler's gone, and then you realize my child's gone, and then in front of you is a preteen, a tween. That's always not fun. So that's when I realized, I had to balance out like what was important, and my son needed me, and I jumped in. I really balanced out stuff. I was making, we were doing all right, so I didn't have to be working, 55 to 60 hour work weeks, like week hours per week. I was exhausted, but ironically enough, in 2018, I was managing a well-known kitchen. I just don't want to talk about that because 30 pounds fell on my head at work. And I had just started my catering business. I was kind of in the booking my wedding gigs, trying to get something going, because I wanted to follow the festivals, but I also was going to do weddings. For the first summer, I was just going to do weddings and events. And then I would have to start, like, prepaying and booking with the festivals. But then the pandemic hit and everything was like, what the heck, right? But anyway, 2018, 30 pounds fell on my head from 5 feet above my head. And everything changed. It was like my whole life, just the carpet was like pulled out from under my feet. And my son was 16 when this happened. So I don't know how I like, yeah, with the pandemic, all this legal stuff has been kind of put at the wayside. But here's the long story short. When 30 pounds fell on my head, I got a major concussion. And after MRIs and like, I was stuck in like, I had post-concussion syndrome. So I was like stuck in a concussion. And after my MRIs, they realized I have what you call a Chiari-1 malformation. So my brain is herniated into my spinal column. By the last MRI, it was over 16 millimeters. So as a result, I have epilepsy. I used to be a competitive track runner and very athletic. I was even on the wrestling team. And now I have a mobile chair because I can't go long distance. I have no gait. I have, what's it called? Come on, vertigo. I have focal seizures. So I have seizures throughout the day. I can no longer drive, which is insane because I have I just got my catering van is paid off sitting in my driveway. I have a beautiful Honda paid off sitting in my driveway, and I can't drive. I can't even take the public transit because I have seizures on the bus because of, it's just like, I don't know, the way it takes corners. It's really hard. I get vertigo. I get sick. It's bad. So I have to take the handicap bus. Now go figure with this one. I've been paying into the system taxes, everything for years. Well, WCB decided to close my case after 2 months. I had a head injury. So then I got thrown on social assistance. So you go from like $6,000 a month to $866 a month. I can't live off that. I was begging churches for help. I tried. My family just, no, they totally turned their backs on me and my son. So the only option I had was to go to churches and ask for like food vouchers. It was horrible. How do you go from a kitchen manager making $6,000 a month to begging churches for help because you're starving, you and your son? It was what? So they threw me on welfare. I had to get a lawyer, and then they had that decision reversed. So now I'm on permanent disability. And then I was supposed to receive back pay from the time they put me on welfare, which is social assistance, like back pay to balance out because I was always supposed to be on disability, but they rejected me because WCB closed my case. It's like this huge scam, right? So anyway, so I was told that I would back pay in my account between January and March. We're going into April. There is nothing in my account. I've called my lawyer. He's just like, He used to be very, very interactive with me. Now it seems like he's not too interactive because of what? The pandemic. Everything's kind of in the air. So long, boring story short, I got hurt at work, 30 pounds dropped on my head, herniated brain, epilepsy. My pancreas stopped working. So I have chronic pancreatitis. So I live off like those meal replacements, like the farm. I have a prescription for them. But I have the pancreas of an alcoholic, and I do not drink because the pills they had me on for my epilepsy reacted with my pancreas and completely destroyed it. So I'm on like all this medication for, pancreas and thyroid and all this crap. And then I don't drink. I can't drive, right? And what else? Oh, it doesn't matter. This isn't about me, but the point I'm making is it literally took 30 pounds falling on my head for me to slow my roll, gear down, and realize, whoa, you almost died. Like, I was supposed to be paralyzed in a wheelchair. I do have a mobile chair because I like to go for long walks, and I can't walk for half a block without losing my balance and like falling over, right? So I like the fresh air. So I do have a mobile chair, but where I live, we got snow and ice everywhere. So I'm kind of housebound. Like I'm getting beaver fever, cabin fever, whatever you call it, really bad. So I'm so excited. Like the snow should be melted within a month and a half. And I'm going to charge up that chair and just be gone. Take my dog and she can take me for a walk. I'll be on the chair. So life has changed, right? So now I have to find another lawyer to fight WCB because like this, are you kidding me? I can't even work. I'm permanent. I'm permanent disability, and I've been writing a trilogy since 1996. The first book's been done. I had it being reviewed in the UK in 2018, but it's all about this. Like it's about the what's the meaning to life, but I put it into like a story form. So when it was being reviewed, there was 9 people on the panel. They had the first 4 chapters. That's how you do it in review. I'm not going to say what publishing house. It's a well-known one. So it took them 3 weeks, and the main person got a hold of me, and they were really upset. They're like, I wanted to publish this so bad. But it ended up where, after extensive discussion about my book, they said the world just wasn't ready for what I had to say. And you know what? I look at it now, and like in 2018, which was 4 years ago, the world was definitely not ready. This was pre-pandemic. But like the book is all about this stuff, right? Well, the trilogy. So I know it's time. Like the egg, I always say the egg's not hard boiled yet. And now it's like, oh, I can feel it. The egg is almost hard boiled, but I can't go on my computer without having seizures. That's why I got to do these videos from my phone. Like I used to do photography. I love editing and that stuff. So these podcasts you're getting, really, they're they're raw. There's no editing. That's why you'll hear my dog, my cat, like my kid flushing the toilet. You'll hear sounds because I can't go on my computer physically. I'll have a seizure. So I have my little phone here, and I have the audio set up. I have some good mics and recordings, but this is kind of how I have to roll it, and it's not usually how I'd like to do things. So then I think about Cats in the Cradle, and I think about my situation, and you know what? My son told me, like, we're like, oh my God, I lost my finances. Like, there's a long road ahead of us legally, and times are really tough, but it's only temporary. It's not permanent. And my son has told me over and over and over again, Mom, I know it sounds terrible, to say, your accident had benefits, but, I finally got my mom. You were always so tired and you were working all the time, and it wasn't your fault, but you missed out on a lot. And, when he needed me the most at 16, guess what? I was laid up in bed. And when kids get sneaky and you don't really know what's going on, I couldn't leave the house. And I knew everything. So it was like I caught it in the nick of time, because my story was turning into Cats in the Cradle. It was no intention. I love my son. But that's like that, that saying, you can't buy love. Money can't buy me love, can't buy me love, like the Beatles, right? I live for music. I'm so sorry. Everything's a music reference. But I tried to buy his love. Not really. I think I just tried to. It was guilt. It was guilt gifts. That's what it was. So all of a sudden he's 16. I ain't got no money. Like sorry, son. Times are changing. Like we moved. We had a huge house. Like after I left his dad, I had like this whole commitment phobia. So I'll spend $2,000 renting a nice house. Like I'm a renter, permanent. It's just like, no, I can't be tied down. I was tied down in a cage in my world for like 14 years. I'll never be tied down again. And I love renting that way. It's just like, if you're neighbors, you have neighbors that move in and they're like total, you're not your cup of tea, and they start causing issues, you move. If your fridge or stove like just decides to break out of the blue, well, it's in the lease. They have 48 hours to replace it. And I'll tell you, some of the worst fights my son's father and I had was, the washing machine just broke. Well, where do we have the money? Where's the money? Or we came home for a 10-day holiday at Christmas time, and unfortunately, the freezer was filled with like some pretty expensive meat when we left. And we came, as soon as we walked in the door, the house stunk. Well, what happened? The fridge just gave out. So now we have like probably $500 worth of rotten meat that's been sitting in the house rotting for at least a week. And we just spent a whole bunch of money on Christmas gifts and our travel to go out of town to go back home and see my family. Oh, and now we have to buy a new fridge. And then that happened like a couple years later with a washing machine. It was like, and when you're a homeowner, you have no choice. You got to fix this stuff. But when you rent, it's in the lease, baby. So I'm what you call a life renter. Okay. Anyway, the point I'm making is it's really easy to fall into the parent role in Cats in the Cradle. So that's why it's so important to constantly like take stock of your life, right? Take stock of your life, recalibrate your moral compass, really, really understand the difference between needs and wants. All right, I see I've started to ramble as usual. So you know what? We are going to review the lyrics. So let's do that. Let's say the lyrics. And please, I encourage you to listen to this song because this song, I don't know, my parents, it wasn't workaholics, they were selfishaholics. They were narcissists, and it was all about them. They spent like their marriage pissing each other off, and then they spent my dad moved out 8 times, so they spent their separations trying to make each other jealous and angry, and then they spent their divorce still angry. We were just weapons. Like, we really were. And they missed out on everything with us. They missed out on being parents because they were so wrapped up in their own heads, right? And how many times I heard this song, and it's not even funny. I can't believe funny. But the sad thing is I used to listen to this song all the time. Me and one of my brothers, we'd talk about it. He would be like, yeah, this is like so our parents. I'm like, yeah, I totally agree, right? But I remember saying one day I'm going to say to my parents, you guys remind me of Cats in the Cradle, blah, 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 blah. The minute they decide they want to be a part of my life, I'm going to lay it to them. But you know what's really unfortunate? I'm 42, and on August 19th, I turned 42. And they've yet to ever come into my life and be like, I need you, please. Like, I want to having a relationship with me is still nowhere on their priority list. And that's why I had to let everybody go. I love them from a distance, but I'm done. You can call me if you want, and I'll answer your phone, but I will not call you. I won't call any of them. And this is totally Cats in the Cradle. Because, I've been raped, or sorry, I can't say that word, SA'd, kidnapped, drugged by strangers, someone way older than me, and taken to 3 locations. And that didn't affect them. I fell through a glass table, almost lost my arm. That didn't affect them. When my son was born, I had an emergency C-section, and by 9:00, I was left alone at the hospital. Nobody was there. Not my mom, not my dad. Nobody stayed with me. And, I'm alone, 22 years old, newborn baby. His dad had to go. He had to work at 5 a.m., right? So I'm alone. So it was always me and my son against the world. My son's father ended up going down hard with the drugs and the booze. He was hitting me around, started hitting my kid around. Wouldn't pay his child support. They didn't affect them. They didn't even fucking notice. Then I got attacked. My son and I got put into live-in therapy for a year. I remember telling my dad, Dad, I'm in this therapy house. And he said to me, what did you do? I said, what do you mean, what do I do? He goes, well, it sounds like a halfway house to me. Total denial, did not believe me. Because I think if he actually believed that happened to me, he would have came out and hauled butt. My dad is, he is 69 years old and still works out on the punching bag and works out at the gym every day for 4 hours a day. He could have kicked his ass, and he didn't even come out to see me. So, my mom came out for a day to make sure that my ex, who was beating me around, would let me move in with him. So I had somewhere to go. And how that happened was after I got attacked. I ended up at my old house, back in my abusive situation, for 3 weeks. And then he beat me around again. So 3 weeks after I got assaulted, he beat on me. And then I basically took my clothes and my son, and we went to a place called Phoenix Safe House, which was the emergency women's shelter. And I checked it out, and I realized, what? It's not. I thought it'd be a gym with a bunch of beds everywhere. That's the impression I had. I never ever saw the inside of a shelter before. but it was surprisingly warm and welcoming and comfortable. Like, it was clean. It had couches and TV rooms and libraries, and it was like, wow. So once I saw the establishment, I'm like, no, my son, I have to come there. And I had a meeting with one of the social workers, and basically went back while he was at work, grabbed our stuff, picked my kid up from school, and we moved into a shelter, period. Yeah, and there was still no hope. So by this point, and like, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the bullshit, like, ignorance that my parents have placed upon my situation, which also involves their grandson, which they don't really even, they don't connect with me as their child or with my son as their grandson. So, like, this, that's what I mean. When I remember saying, one day I'm going to tell them, you're exactly like Cats in the Cradle. But the thing is, like I said, I'll be 42 in August. They haven't noticed. They still haven't noticed. They haven't even evolved enough to hit towards the end of the song where the parent wants to spend time with their kid. Like, they don't care. My mom's 68. My dad's 69. They don't care. They have their own lives. We're just something they have to put up with. And that's how it feels. So anyway, I'm leaving it at that because I'm feeling myself getting a little, like, kind of annoyed, if you want the truth, because I'm thinking about it all, right? But let's read the lyrics. I'm going to have a sip of my strawberry water here. I do apologize for the raspy voice. I got some killer, like, allergies that happens because it's warming up, snow is coming, we got the snow mold, and I just sound like crap. Anyway, here it goes. Cats in the Cradle, written by Harry Chapin. So his wife wrote the poem, and he made a song out of it. Let's put these glasses on, the old lady glasses, because I really need to have glasses on when I'm reading. All right. My child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay. He learned to walk while I was away. He was talking before I knew it. And as he grew, he'd say, I'm going to be like you, Dad. You know I'm going to be like you. And the Cats in the Cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you coming home, Dad? I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, thanks for the ball, Dad. Come out and let's play. Can you teach me to throw? I said, not today. I got a lot to do. He said, that's okay. And he walked away, but his smile never dimmed. It said, I'm going to be like him. Yeah, you know I'm going to be like him. And the Cats in the Cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you coming home, Dad? I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time then. Well, he came home from college just the other day. So much like a man, I just had to say, son, I'm proud of you. Can you sit for a while? He shook his head, and then said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys. See you later. Can I have them, please? And the Cats in the Cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you're coming home, son? I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. You know we'll have a good time then. I've long since retired. My son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I can find the time. You see, my new job's a hassle, and the kids have the flu, but it's sure nice talking to you, Dad. It's been sure nice talking to you. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. And the Cats in the Cradle and the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man in the moon. When you coming home, son? I don't know when, but we'll get together then, Dad. We're going to have a good time then. Oh, I got shivers. See, ooh, my whole body is tingling. I have shivers because, wow, it happens so fast. It happens so fast, So basically, if you have little children, heed the warning. Heed the warning. It goes by like a blink of an eye. And then, little people, little problems. Big people, big problems. So either get aboard now and just be the best parent you can possibly be, or, be like cats in the cradle, let go, and then have kids in their 40s. And like by now, if my parents, like, it's just too late. It's too late. It doesn't matter what they say or do. Like I'm shut down. I can't receive their love because they don't know how to give me love. It's too late. Like it's kind of, I want to say I forgive them, but the funny thing is my mom has, I have forgiven her, but my dad, he doesn't think he needs forgiveness or anything. He hasn't asked for forgiveness. He just, deflect. So whatever. I know the truth, and like I'm not getting into it publicly, but I know the truth, and I think he's blocked out the truth. Like, seriously, some stuff was serious happened, and he's like, that's all in your head. It's like, no, this is not all in my head. And there were, like, what are you talking about? And I almost think he's crazy, because I'm like, you can't actually think you convinced me this is all in my head. And he does try. And then I thought to myself, he's like going to be 70 soon. Maybe he's blocked everything out and he's really convinced himself this is all in my head, which makes it even weirder, because it's like we're both living our truth. But the difference is I journaled all my life. I know what happened. I know my truth. My son has known the truth for 19 years because he's experienced it all. So that's the unfortunate part. My cats in the cradle is weird because my parents still don't care to love me. That's the bottom line. And I'm okay with that, right? Because I'm healing the past, because my son and I are best friends. And because I have such an amazing relationship with my son is why it's okay. Thoughts of the past cause depression. Thoughts of the future cause anxiety. That's why the present is such a gift. Like, stay in the moment, the present, that eliminates like a big chunk of anxiety and depression, right? So that's me living in the moment. I can't live in the past anymore. I just know that I broke the chain of events. Jake, my son, will never, ever, ever listen to Cats in a Cradle and have harsh feelings about me. He'll listen to Cats in Cradle and feel the sadness regarding his father. But at least it's not both parents, it's one. And that's the gift I gave him. I broke the chain of events from me, because he knows I'm mom and I'll always be mom. And he's always my baby. He's my little Jakey. And when you say Jakey, he gets so mad. But I still do it. I still get away with it. But I don't think anybody else could. So anyway, please, I encourage you to listen to Cats in the Cradle. Soak it up, absorb it, and just realize life is a gift. And all life is a series of moments and memories. Make them count. Make your moments count. Make your memories count, because then your life counts, and it's a life of substance and quality. And then guess what? If you're always mindful and living in the moment, you eliminate the dreadful regrets. Because you know what? I'm done with having regrets. I'm so, so, so done. Choose your environment more wisely. Healthy parent, healthy child. Love yourself. You have to give yourself guilt-free alone time. Love yourself. Become your best friend. Encourage yourself to do better. Encourage yourself to push further. To every day be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. You do that, man, you're going to nail life. You got this. So wherever you are, whether it's day, nights, around the world, I don't know. If you're going to bed, sweet dreams. If you can't sleep, hey, tons of videos. I can keep you going. And if you're just waking up, grand rising. Today, I hope, gives you so much beautiful things. I hope there's miracles, and I just really wish you the best of day. I really wish that something beautiful happens to remind you that, hey, Sarah's right. Life is beautiful. And this is one of those series of moments I'm going to collect in that little memory bank and recalibrate my moral compass and say, hey, it's all going to be okay. And things aren't as bad as I thought. Be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. And tomorrow, be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were today. And guess what? You've got life nailed. So anyway, always exercise peace, love, forgiveness, and compassion towards everyone you encounter and everything you do. And I promise you, you'll finally live a life of meaning that's worth living. Love ya. Go attack the world. Go spread your light. Go spread your love. More importantly, reach out to the people around you. If you see people suffering, don't turn a blind eye. It's your responsibility. Don't be ignorant. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We live in this universe together. We got to stay in the love vibration. Help out your neighbor. If you help the people in your immediate circle, then you will be the change in the world. Because if everybody helps reach out to people in their immediate circle, guess what? There's a great shift. There's a great change. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Quit convincing yourself it's so hard to be an authentic person in the best version of yourself and be empathetic. Like, that's not hard. You have a choice. You can be a total dick, or you can be like the person that inflated somebody's emotional balloon, gave them a little bit of break. Or, vice versa, you can be a total wench, because it's not just guys, it's women too. You can be a total wench and take down your sister. Take down that chick because you're jealous, because she looks better than you, because she's got a hotter ass than you. Why don't you just take her down? Destroy her, because that's not what we do, people. Be nice. It's time to be nice to each other. Quit judging. It's not our place. You never know what somebody's going through behind the scenes. You never know. You know what? Give people a break. Somebody might be rude to you. Somebody might give you the finger when they're driving. Somebody might tell you off and you'll be like, what the hell's their problem? Well, guess what? You don't know what's going on in their life. Quit thinking everything's about you. Right? Okay. Like I said, it's probably the 10th time I've tried to say goodbye. I love you. Thanks for chiming in. You got this. We got this. Get the hell out of the matrix. Like, it needs to get on this 5D level of thinking. And trust me, music is a safe salvation. Find yourself. If there's any songs that you want me to break down, that like there's a personal story you feel attached to, please email me. I love this. I want to feel or hear how music affects people, because it changes my life. I like time travel with music. It's like, oh, I want to think about when I was 16. Let's put this song on. Boom. 16 again, feeling young and hot, right? I want to be sad. Okay, I'll put this on. I want to be happy. I want to be angry. If I want to be angry, not angry, but release some like powerful emotions, Linkin Park, Yeah. I have music that suits everything. If I want to like drift away and be like, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. I hit more of the Jimi Hendrix, a little bit of Bob Marley, right? If I feel like saying, screw you all, I'm just going to be me, do my thing, write my poetry, do some art, that's when I hit the Janis Joplin. See, those are my best friends. I don't need this matrix world. I got my best friends through music. Okay. Find your salvation. Find your outlet. Find your positive, what's the word? Whatever is therapeutic for you, but make sure it's good. Even a nice hot bath with a really good book, that can like just totally change your day. All right. Love ya. Check you later. Peace, love, forgiveness, and compassion. Sweet dreams if you're on the other side of the world. Grind rising if you're on another side of the world. And hey, you can get through the workday. I promise you. If you're somewhere in the world where it's like that hectic, headachy part of the end of your day where you're about to go home and cook dinner and deal with a whole other spectrum of your life. All right, guys. Take care. Check in later. Ciao for now. Ta-ta. Bye.